Hej och välkomna till dagens webbinar. Jag vill börja med att kolla om ni hör. Så om ni kikar i er dialog så finns det en liten hand. Om ni klickar på den så räcker ni upp handen om ni hör. Ja, det ser bra ut. Då startar vi. Idag kommer webbinariet handla om automatisk uppregling av väggar i flera skikt. Så ni är välkomna till denna visning av produkten Wood Framing. Jag som presenterar nu heter Maria Runesson och är från AEC i Växjö. Och vi samarbetar med AGCAD, så Renata kommer att hålla själva presentationen och demon av Wood Framing Wall Plus. I er GoTo-webinar så finns det också 3 stycken handouts som ni kan ladda ner. Det är om webbinariet idag och lite broschyrer kring produkten. Vi kan ta next slide. Vi kommer att, vi AEC AB från Sverige och AGCAD från Litauen samarbetar nära i att utveckla BIM-verktyg för att öka hastigheten i processen kring BIM. AEC är guldpartner till Automatisk guldpartner och vi tillhandahåller CAD BIM-lösningar för inriktning byggnadsindustrin. Och vi har över 25 års erfarenhet som återförsäljare av Automatisk produkter. AGCAD som är från Litauen startade 1988 och utvecklar särskilt BIM-verktyg för just Revit. De har mer än 9000 användare världen över i 129 länder. Jag lämnar nu över här till Renata. Your turn, Renata.
Okay, thank you, Maria. So today, during this 45 minutes, I will try to show how to work with our Wall Plus. It's a software which goes for multi-layered timber walls, making the sheetings and shop drawings. And actually, a few weeks ago, we have released a new version of the Wall Plus. So today, I will try to show you the new functionality and the new features which we added into this version. So the webinar topics are how to design complex multi-layered walls, and also how to design and make really complex situations with not just with the main frame but also using the secondary frames, vertical and horizontal nailers and the sidings. At the same time, I'll show how to control different window or window door joints, and how to make sheeting layouts automatically, and then how to generate shop drawings. So in general, our all wood framing, it goes for design, analysis, documentation, fabrication and construction. It's very flexible because it allows you to make different configurations and adapt and according to your own company processes. Also, it has automated clash detection and complete shop drawing generation, and if needed, all framing elements can be exported to CNC machine. So you can have the total process from design to fabrication and construction. Now, if we talk about the Wall Plus only, because our wood framing contains not just the Wall Plus, but also it contains the software which goes for floor generation and for the roof. But today we will focus mostly only for the Wall Plus. So it generates. It's very flexible and it's easy to use. So it generates the timber wall frames, and if needed, it can be exported to CNC machines. So the main features are just that you can frame really complex multi-layered walls with different supporting structures and openings. You can also use complex L and T connections, then distribute nailers, sidings, and fastenings. Also, you can even create a log house. Then you can automatically distribute details on the studs and the plates. Then you can automate the sheeting layouts. Then you can make a link between the framing configurations and bearing and not bearing walls, and you can very quickly align different studs from different wall layers. So now I would like to switch to the Revit. With framing, you can find in the separate Tools for Revit wood framing tab, and here today actually we will talk about the Wall Plus, so we can just bring these options here. And the first thing that you just need to start with architectural model. Let's start with really simple wall. This wall is just simple wall as you do or as you create them in Revit. So there is a layer where we're going to add the main frame, and then there will be two sheeting layers from the both sides. So it's like a simple wall type with 3 layers. And now with the Wall Plus, we have possibility to make a link between them. Between every layer and the framing configuration. So here we're saying that we're going to put the main frame into this layer and this configuration at the moment I'm going to use. And later we will talk about these configurations. Then I'm going to add sheetings from both sides, and again sheeting has its own configuration because we're going to split the sheeting into the segments. So now I'm going just to frame this wall, and now the tool just looks into the wall type, looks into the wall layer, and at the same time it takes configuration settings and it frames this wall according to my predefined configuration settings. And in this case, the windows and the doors are framed, the details are automatically distributed between the studs, some service holes automatically added. Then also above every window or the door we have some additional supports, and also the tool analyzes if we have the door, it puts some different support. So this is one of the sample configuration which can be very easily achieved. Now let's just go to the framing configurations, and let's make an overview what kind of configurations we have in the software and what you can achieve. So here you can just choose what exactly you are going to change. So in this case I was choosing the main frame, but also you can go and select configurations only for the nailers or for the sidings or for the secondary frames or for the wooden logs. Because according to this configuration type you will get totally different settings which goes only for selected type. And if we have the frame, the main frame, let's say here you can find sample configurations where you can create your own configuration with predefined settings, and you just need to fill up these settings which are here down below. So under the common settings you just need to predefine what families you are going to use for the studs and for the plates. Also you have to add the mark definitions for every element, because this is also very important because this information will be later used in the shop drawings. Then under the wall framing you need to predefine what will be the distances between the studs, so what will be the top plates or the bottom plates, what will be the scenario, or maybe you would like to add some offsets from the wall top or base. Also there are settings for separately for the windows and for the doors and for other openings. And let's say if we're taking a look into the window configuration, so you can predefine the kinks, also you can predefine different types of headers, and actually this is the header which was added into the new Wall Plus version. So this is a new type which will be filled with the gaps between these horizontal plates. Okay, but here you can predefine different header types, again with the same story with the sills. If you want, you can add trimmers and predefine the rule for adding the trimmers from the sill to header or from the sill to the top plate and so on. And with other offsets, you can also add top or bottom trimmer studs and so on. So all these settings you can predefine and save under your own name, and all the settings will be saved for the future projects. At the same time, you can predefine the connection between windows and between doors. Let's say if two windows, they are close together, you can predefine totally different configuration between the windows which are close together, or between the window and the door. Then it's very simple. You just need to predefine the corners. So in this case, it's L connection. You just need to predefine and select the L connection or butt connection or internal corners, because the tool will automatically define if the corner is internal or if it is external. Then there are free end connections, different types. Then we have created also and added into the new Wall Plus version more options with V connections. So there are again different types of V connections which you can just select here from this dialog. Then T connections, and then we have possibilities to predefine different bridgings, noggings, and blockings. And in this case, as you can see from my sample wall, we have automatically added a top header plate for the windows which are on the structural wall, with such distance from the top, and it will go only through the windows. Again, this is a new feature in the new Wall Plus version. We add the possibility to automatically, the tool can find if the bridging should be placed around or above only the windows, or only above the doors, for example, or it can go through the wall, or through except openings and so on. So there are different tools where you can say where exactly the bridging should be added. In this case, you can predefine totally different configurations and totally different rules for placing your selected headers above some different openings. Okay, then there are settings for the secondary bridging, blocking and nogging, then for diagonal bracings, and for adding additional studs, additional bridgings, adding additional details. Again, with details, it's again very simple, because you can just choose the family. In this case, it's anchor, which is automatically inserted in the center between two studs. So it's the same scenario we can see here. So it's the anchor is automatically added in the center between two studs, and it will be added on the top face of my bottom plate. So that's why we see this and we get these anchors here. So in this case, you can predefine the rules for adding different connections or service walls and additional bridgings or blockings or noggings. So these settings you can save under your own name, and you can use, or even you can share that with your colleagues. So only one user needs to predefine the settings which go for your company, and it can be distributed between the colleagues. Now, if we have such wall, we can add additional elements, or we can make different changes to this openings or to these walls. Let's say we can add additional bridgings or noggings between our selected studs. I can predefine the distance from the top or from the bottom, and additional bridging or blocking could be added automatically at the same time as an additional stud. Now, after having this frame, we can also go and see how the sheeting is created. So in this case, there is a separate sheeting configuration where you can predefine the sheeting layouts. So what will be the distances between the sheeting panels, also what will be maybe some offsets from the top or from the bottom of the wall, how you are going to, maybe there should be some offsets around the opening in the sheeting and so on. And after pressing OK, in the beginning actually I will reset the sheeting, so in the beginning it looks like this. There is one sheeting panel, but after splitting the sheeting parts you just need to select one frame from the wall, and the tool automatically will split the sheeting into the segments. And now through the properties we can see that we have the sheeting, but it is already split according to the segments. And then in the last stage you have to predefine shop drawings. So with the shop drawing configuration you just need to predefine what kind of views you would like to get from this wall. So in this case I'm saying that the 3D view should be created automatically with all frames, and I'm going to use this view template for the 3D view. Then we're going to create a plan view with such view template. So actually the view templates, it's very simple because it comes from your project. You can predefine your own view templates with your own graphical design and graphical presentment, and you can assign these view templates for every view. And actually it's your choice what kind of views you would like to achieve from this wall. So you just need to predefine the views and the schedules, which will be automatically generated. In this case I'm going to create a separate schedule for the sheeting, a separate schedule for the main frame, then for the material takeoff, and the total will be in the part list. Then you just need to choose the title block, the tags, the sample tags which will be used. Then you have to predefine dimension types for the horizontal, vertical and elements, and for the studs. And after saving this, let's create frame assembly. So I'm going to select again any frame from this wall, and now the tool automatically will generate all needed views and will create assembly. Okay, so this is our 3D view with the main frame. Then this is our front side view with dimensions and with tags which are automatically added. And here the final step, what we have to do, you just need to go and say that all these frames should be renumbered. Now the tool automatically will renumber all the frames according to its type and the length. So in this case it's a vertical stud number 1, and this is king stud number 1. So these two vertical studs are the same. They are under the number 1 because they are the same, under the same type and under the same length. So they are identical. Actually, these two studs are identical. So that's why they have the same numbers. But every bottom cripples, top cripples, they're automatically renumbered. And again, let's check the front side view with the sheeting panels. And at the same time we have everything. We have a part list with all the plate studs and the sheeting panels, or we have a separate schedules only for the frame. So here we have the length, here we have the mass. The mass is also automatically calculated according to the material density and the volume. So that's why we are sure and we know what is the mass or the weight of this frame. And here there is a separate schedule for the sheeting panels, and everything could be added into the sheet and automatically generated for other views. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to original view. So this is quick and very simple example of the total workflow of the Wall Plus. Now let's switch to the more complex project, to the real project, to the real model. And here let's take a look into this wall. And here we have totally different scenario. Here we have more complex wall with a lot of different layers. Here we're going to add the main frame, then there will be vertical nailers, then there will be horizontal nailers, then there will be vertical sidings, and then we're going to add external decoration on top of the vertical sidings. And from the internal side there will be a secondary frame, and there will be two sheetings from one side. So as you can see, this is more complex situation and more complex scenario. And now let's take a look into the configuration, but before that I'm going to switch my configuration to the new one, to the one which is more complex, and let's take a look into the wall link. So this is more complex wall link where I'm mapping my walls, my wall layers together with the more complex framing configurations. And now I'm going to select several walls from this project. Okay, and now let's frame these walls. So there are 5 walls, and the tool is going to frame these 5 walls automatically according to predefined configuration settings. And the tool will put this main frame into the layer where it should be. So it will put it into the main layer. At the same time, the tool will analyze and will make different connections, because the tool will identify if the corner is external corner or if the corner is internal corner, and automatically the tool will frame these corners differently. Okay, so we're finishing, we have finished with framing these 5 walls. Maybe, I will make a section view for we could see these frames better. Okay. Okay, so we have the main frame and it's added into the layer where it should be. We have the corners, external and internal corners, which are framed differently. And we have really nice looking frames around windows and in the connection between 2 windows. Okay, and at the same time there is a connection between the window and the door. Okay, which is also quite complex in this case. And now next, let's add other layers, but in this case, maybe let's add it automatically, because we need to add the nailers and the sidings. Here we will wait a little bit more, because I'm going to show you the feature which will frame all other layers in this wall automatically, because you can put them and you can frame them separately. I mean, you can add separately like a secondary frame, and separately the nailers, and separately the sidings. But with this option, the tool automatically will frame all layers. So it means that it will add all other layers, so automatically, and the nailers and the sidings and the secondary frame. So I have selected 3 walls, but there will be 15 layers which will be added automatically. So the tool will add the secondary frames and the nailers, and two layers of the nailers, and 2 layers of sidings. So in this case, in the one wall, there are 5 additional layers which will be framed, and I have selected 3 walls, so that's why we have 15 layers. And in one side of the building, there will be scenario with horizontal sidings and vertical nailers. I'm sorry, with the horizontal nailers and vertical sidings. And in another side of the building, there will be scenario with vertical nailers and horizontal sidings. So there will be opposite scenarios. At the same time, the tool automatically will align the secondary frame studs with the main frame, and the nailers with vertical nailers with the main frame studs. You will not need to waste your time and align them later manually. I mean, it will be an automatic process. You can imagine how much time it would take if we would try to do this manually, because using the plain Revit, you would need to add these frames and the studs and everything manually one by one. And here, you just need to predefine the configuration and load the process. Okay, and we are finishing with framing these 3 walls. Okay, and that's it. We have these frames here, and you can see how it looks and how the corners how the corners looks like. And if we would look into this window framing, we have really nice looking details like waterproof, which is below the window, and these 2 windows, they are fully framed. The same, let's take a look into another side. Here we have vertical sidings. Okay, and here we have totally different scenario in the corners, and we have horizontal nailers in this case. As you can see, this bottom plate is split also automatically. We added such option. If we go to the modify wall framing, we added possibility to split these plates automatically. So this will allow us to predefine the settings for the splitting the plates automatically, which are below the main frame. And we're saying that the plate should be automatically split with the second stud. So that's why we get such connection in the corner. Yeah, so we are going to update this secondary frame. Actually, there was no need to update the secondary frame. I just pressed by accident because I didn't make any changes. Okay. And now, after framing these walls, we can again we can continue with the sheeting. I'm going to show parts option. And originally, as you can see, there should be 2 sheeting layers from one side. So again, you just need to go to the split sheeting parts, select any frame from the wall, and the tool automatically will delete all other parts which are not necessary, and will split the sheeting segments. Okay, so we have here the sheeting panels which are automatically split. And the same let's do for another side of the wall. Okay, and we have again totally different scenario for the sheeting. And now let's make shop drawings. So again, I'm going to check shop drawing configuration. So it's totally different configuration with different layers, because there are more layers. So that's why here we have more views which we'd like to achieve. There will be a separate view for the nailers, a separate view for the main frames. And now let's create frame assembly. So in this case, there will be a lot of different views because there are many layers in this wall. So we're going to achieve different views with different dimensions and with tags and a lot of different schedules. So again, if you would have, and if you would like to make assembly, which is we would like to make shop drawings manually using Revit. Again, we would need to do that manually, and we would need to add these dimensions manually one by one. And here again, it's automatical process. Just in the end, you have to press sort through framing by mark, and the tool again automatically will renumber all the frames in every view. Okay, and then we have the view with the nailers, maybe a separate view with the sidings, maybe some total maybe view, and then separate schedules for every element. And finally, we can put everything into the final sheet. Yes, here I'm going to put the schedule with a framing part list and maybe a separate part list only for the nailers. So after making the first sheet, we can go back to the shop drawing configuration and we can say that this sheet will be used as a template for the next assemblies. And now let's do the same for the second wall. So I'm going to create again assembly for another wall. So in this case, the tool again will create the same views, but at the same time the tool will put these views into the final sheet. So we will not need just to drag them manually anymore. You just need to predefine the one sheet and all other views will be automatically added into the sheet. Yes, so we're finishing with creating shop drawings for the second wall, and we can just go directly into the sheet and we can see results for our second wall. Okay, and now maybe I will move the section box for you could see the final result with a frame. Just I'm going to show the original view. One more thing I would like to show that if windows that are close together, the tool automatically will can put one header or one sill above two openings if needed. So again, it's kind of possibility to join several walls, I mean several windows if they are close together. Okay, now let's switch to one more example. Okay, and here I'm going to again change my configuration to again totally different framing configurations. And here, as you see, one more example with quite complex actual example with a lot of different layers, but the corners and the main configuration, again, it has its own settings, some custom settings where you can just predefine and see that it's a little bit different framing scenario than in the previous project. And here we have such kind of type of top cripples. Then the frames, the horizontal secondary frame, it's automatically extended. And if we would go to the wall join configuration. As you can see, it's a kind of complex connection we use here, and also there is a split, and we see we have an extension from the end of the corner. Okay, and so it's a little bit different scenario of framing. And now let's just take a look into the main frame. Separate view with the main frame. We can automatically frame these walls as usual, so it's the same processes and the same workflow, but with a little bit different configuration, with a little bit different scenarios. Okay, then let's take a look into the frame with nailers. So there are 2 nailer layers in this case, and it's really complex situation where the nailers, they are split in the corners. Okay, and again there is one more insulation nailers added automatically. Then here we have the main frame with the secondary framing, which is inside. Again, with some extension from the wall ends. Then one more example with one more view with the main frame and the secondary frame and the nailers. And then a separate view with the nailers. And finally the sidings. So it's situation and separate view with the nailers and the sidings with vertical. In this case, it's vertical sidings. Yes, and this is the final result. What we have in this situation. Okay, so I'm coming back into my slides, and I would like to make an overview of the main features which we added into the new Wall Plus version. So we added possibility to control the framing ends, and there could be built-in-place elements which can be automatically split into the corners we need. Then we added one more feature where you can automatically predefine really complex V connections. As you can see, there are a few examples in the slide where you can just draw and have really complex V connections in the corners. Then we added possibility to split top and bottom plates automatically. Then we added possibility to add grid symbols into the assembly views, because some of our customers, they needed to show grids in the assembly, and actually with the plain Revit you can't add the grid into the assembly view. So that's why we added possibility, we added such new feature to present a real grid from the plan view to the assembly view. Then we added possibility to predefine the family for the second bottom plate, so you can have even such complex bottom plates. Then we added possibility to add short vertical noggings together with the horizontal nailers. Then we added a new header type. As you can see, there are gaps between these horizontal elements. Then we added new connection types, so it's like T-connection types. Then we added possibility which automatically aligns all other layers with the main frame. So for example, like the nailers or the secondary framings. Then we added possibility what to do with studs if they collide. So for example, if we will move the door into the corner, what to do with the stud? I mean, it should be deleted or it should be moved. So we added such option to control studs when they collide. Then again, one more example with kinks. So let's say if a door moves and meets another stud, so what to do and what to do in the corners. Then we added possibility to predefine different configuration locations. So for example, like you have, like in my case today, I used 3 different configurations for 3 different systems. but also you can put and you can have one configuration which is your own configuration, and another configuration could be shared and shared with the colleagues. And then we added possibility to support curved walls. So these are the main features which we added into the new Wall Plus versions, and you will be able to read more about new features in our latest blog posts. Okay, and Wall Plus you can download from the Tools for BIM doc. This is a manager of applications which we own. So it's very intuitive and very easy to use, and you will be always updated. So for the ones who already own Wall Plus, you're welcome to update this version. You will be able to see these red bubbles together with the tool, and you will be able to read what's new in this version, and you will be able to update this product in your computer. Okay, so Tools for BIM doc, it allows you to be sure that you always use the latest version of the product and to know what are the new features. And it's very easy to get the trial of the Wall Plus. You can just go directly into the Wall Plus, just press on Get Trial, fill the form, and you will be automatically provided with activation code for 2 weeks. Okay, and also our tool has an e-help in the end where you can find detailed instructions how to use the product. Also you can find sample videos and detailed technical documentation. Okay, and there is a link where you can download our Tools for BIM doc.
Okej, thank you Renata.
Thank you.
Och jag vill tacka alla deltagarna idag. Jag vill säga ett par ord, och det är att vi visade flera av de här produkterna på vårt frukostseminarium. Och är ni mer nyfikna så kommer vi visa ytterligare produkter eller samma produkter på vårseminariet. Så ni är välkomna att kika på vår hemsida för när det här vårseminariet kommer att äga rum. Det blir i maj. Och vi kommer fördjupa vårt samarbete med våra samarbetspartners AGCAD, så som återförsäljare så kommer Tools for BIM dock att inneha vår logga istället för AGCAD i framtiden. Så prova jättegärna de här produkterna genom att ladda ner testversion från AGCADs hemsida tills vidare. Har ni frågor så kontaktar ni AEC via aec.se, och så kan ni läsa mer om produkterna både på vår hemsida och på AGCADs hemsida. Och glöm inte att ladda ner handouts från den här webbinaren, och det hittar ni i Go-to-webinarfältet. Tack så mycket för idag. Hej då. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.